Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast where we unleash the truth about all things pets.
Our research and anecdotal evidence matched with pet expert interviews will help you help your pet thrive.
We are here to answer questions, divulge information, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets.
I am your co-host, Emily Taylor, pet nutrition enthusiast.
And I'm Toni Shalasky, owner of Healthy Pet Products with 3 locations in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and recently expanded to Port Charlotte, Florida.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Toni Unleashed, the podcast. Today we have Meredith from Steele City Canine Rehab to talk to us all about rehabilitation for dogs. Meredith is the clinic director and has been in the veterinary field since 1988. In 2017, she earned her designation as a certified canine rehabilitation practitioner from the University of Tennessee. She's also a certified canine fitness trainer and is currently pursuing certification in pain management. We're very excited to learn from you today, Meredith, about everything that you do and how you change the lives of dogs every day. We hear tons of good things from customers. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're really excited to have you on today. We haven't had an episode like this. I don't think a lot of people know about rehabilitation for their dogs and what the services that you have to offer. So I'm really excited to not only introduce you to the listeners, but also maybe if somebody already knows about it, hopefully they can learn more. I know nothing. So I will probably ask a million questions, and there's just so much to learn. You have so much knowledge behind rehabilitation, muscular repair. I'm sure you have so many stories to share with us as well as what you've seen, the dogs that you've helped, and I'm sure the people that are so grateful and thankful to have you in their lives. So, go ahead.
Give us a background.
On me?
Yeah.
Or rehab?
Everything.
You rehab, how the clinic started. Just give us a little background.
Well, it was a very nice introduction. I appreciate it. Because you highlighted all the things that I've worked extremely hard for in my certifications. But how we got started, how the clinic got started. I did used to work at one of the large specialty hospitals in the area. I spent about 15 years there. And in the time that I was there, one of the things that kind of bothered me a little bit was, that we would just send the patients out the door and basically kind of wave at them as they were putting their pet in the car and said, "We'll see you in 8 weeks." And that just seemed crazy to me.
Yeah.
That there really just wasn't a whole lot of support or help in making sure that those dogs did well and that they were able to return to a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it just kind of bothered me a little bit. And so, and that was, back in like the early 2000s.
So really not that long ago.
No, like rehab has really changed, and really become part of mainstream veterinary medicine only in about the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been around for about 20 some years, but really and truly it's only been more mainstream in about the last 10. So when, I started seeing that and I just kept thinking to myself, like, there has to be more that we can do for the dogs. There has to be more we can do for the clients. And then in and amongst all of that, I started, competing in a lot of dog sports with my own personal dogs. And then that just kind of fed into each other, thinking to myself that it probably wasn't the smartest thing that I would take my dog who slept on the couch Monday through Friday, and then we would go out on the weekend and then compete.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, boy, I don't know that that's such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like that combination that led me to learning about canine fitness, which then led to canine rehabilitation and physical therapy.
And am I correct in saying the specialty clinics in our area, they don't have any in-house rehab? They literally refer to you, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're in the same space. You probably are growing out of it, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's I separate, like right now we are on somewhere around like a 3 to 5 week wait to get in. And it's not necessary. I mean, a little bit of it is staff, but more than anything, it's my space.
Yeah.
Like I can't bring in more patients because I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I don't have any space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Which it's a good problem.
Right. It's a good problem, but it's still a problem.
That's good. Yes.
Been there.
Exactly.
I hate when people tell me, well, that's a good problem. Okay. Still a problem.
Yeah. Right.
Still a problem.
It's still something that needs solved.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
In what circumstance is a vet referring a patient to you?
So there's lots of different reasons to send them for rehab and PT. I mean, the pretty obvious ones are post-surgical cases. So whether that be a knee surgery or, like a dog that might have been hit by a car with a fracture, or back surgeries, those are probably the most common post-op surgery cases. Then there's other ones though that come in because they have arthritis as they get older. There's some neurologic cases too that rehab and physical therapy is truly the only real treatment that's available. So some of those neurologic cases, they come in. I do have a couple, and I'm so grateful to hear that veterinarians are kind of, opening their eyes a little bit and expanding the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I saw a 9-month-old puppy that already is showing signs of hip dysplasia.
Oh, wow.
And rather than jumping right to, hey, just go to a surgeon and have surgery, their vet really had the foresight to say, you know what, why don't you try this?
Great.
At least for, the next 6 to 12 months, and let's see what happens. And if we still need to come back and do surgery, we can do that. But let's try this. And the owners they were like, we can't, like, this is amazing. Like they, came in and we did a whole bunch of different things and worked with the dog in a variety of ways. And the owners, they were like, this is amazing.
Great.
Like, we're so grateful to our veterinarian for suggesting this instead of just dumping a whole bunch of medications and, saying, a 9-month-old puppy needs to live on meds until it's old enough for surgery and then do surgery and then keep living on meds. And not that medication's bad or wrong.
Right.
But, a 9-month-old puppy to think that they would have to live like that, seems a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
So then are you, in this specific situation, are you giving exercises that this puppy's owner can go home and continue to do at home? Are they exercises that can only be done in your facility? And then, furthermore, how are you preventing this dog from having surgery?
So we may not be able to completely prevent it. But the hope is that we can fend it off for as long as possible. And if the other side of that too is that if that dog does end up needing surgery, that dog's body is now very well prepared to recover from that surgery.
Makes sense.
Rather than, having all these other, compensatory problems because the dog's body has never been able to adjust. It's just always dealt with, a painful issue. And then just kind of pitched weight to all the other limbs that now have problems.
Yeah.
A worst case scenario, and that's usually what I tell clients when somebody like that comes in. I say, look, a worst case scenario is now we're going to be able to prepare this dog's body to recover from a surgery.
Sure.
Like that's a worst case scenario.
Sure.
But what I do with that, so like this particular dog, I get super jazzed because I love canine fitness. I love everything about my job, but if I could only go down one path, it would be canine fitness. I love it. I love everything about it. I love what it does for the dogs. I love what it does for their bodies. To me, there's just, that quite honestly could be like 4 or 5 podcast episode in itself.
Great. I'm in.
But with this particular dog, because, she's 9 months old, so I like to take the opportunity is that we truly start with teaching this dog the absolute basics in fitness behavior. So we just start by teaching this dog a variety of things that, in a couple months, we're going to be able to do amazing exercises. Mm-hmm. But I take this opportunity to just start teaching the dog a few things. We put the dog in the underwater treadmill because, they were here and I was like, let's just see what she does because I have another dog who has been coming to see me for about 3.5 years for the same exact thing. But obviously now he started when he was about 10 months of age. Mm-hmm. And we did put him in the underwater treadmill and it was horrible.
Aw.
He hated it. Hated every moment of it. Yeah. He literally he was a big dog and he'd hang his head over the door of the underwater treadmill and yell at his mother. Yeah. So, but he loves the swimming pool. They have a pool at home and he loves the swimming pool, but he hates my underwater treadmill. So that's okay. So we do fitness like with that particular dog. And so this young puppy, that's what we're spending a lot of time doing is, working on fitness and fitness behaviors and teaching the dog. Because when we start to teach the dog how to engage their body, they themselves do a lot of the adjustments mm-hmm. rather than us, kind of just accepting the fact like that this dog, only wants to walk on 3 legs. But we teach the dog how to engage their body and they're a little more likely, even if it's slightly uncomfortable, they're more likely to engage all 4 limbs instead of just 3, if that makes a little bit of sense.
Oh, it totally does. And Meredith, am I correct in saying, so the philosophy kind of behind putting off, part of the philosophy of putting off the surgery is similar to when a human needs a limb or a joint replacement,
limb replacement.
Not a limb, a joint replacement, like a knee replacement.
Sorry, Dee. I'm just thinking about what that would be like.
The life of that is only so long. I mean, they eventually they start to fail. So is that part of your philosophy behind putting that off?
Well, I mean, sometimes they do fail. So like that other dog I was just talking about that hated the underwater treadmill.
Uh-huh.
When he was referred, his veterinarian also, again, had the foresight and said, hey, why don't you try this and see how it goes? But just, prepare the dog for surgery because he's going to need a total hip replacement. So mind you, that was almost 4 years ago. This dog's over 100 pounds.
Wow.
and still does not need a total hip.
Great. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. So it can go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have other dogs that we tried And, again, unfortunately, they do need to have surgery. However, the dog is better prepared physically, and so is the owner, because then the owner, when they bring that dog home, they know, okay, like, I know what is appropriate exercise. I know who to call. Like the comfort level of bringing home a dog after surgery just exponentially goes up because the owner feels more confident themselves.
Wow. Yeah.
To me, that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal. It's
Definitely.
terrifying coming home, and you overthink every movement that they make. If they messed it up worse, and you're scared constantly until you get comfortable with, the new them.
Yeah, exactly. And I, there's many, many, many days, like, I see that's what my role is. My role is just simply helping the owners
Right.
to feel more comfortable with, what they have at home and how they can care for their dog.
So you touched about the underwater treadmill. What other equipment do you have at your facility that helps dogs with their rehabilitation that people don't have at their house?
So I do have what's called Shockwave, and the type that I have is a Physios Shockwave. Shockwave, which is a pulsed radio wave. It's a wide variety of things that it does. It does help to reduce inflammation in some tendons and muscle structures. It does also help to encourage bone growth. I actually just finished a case. I love this case actually so much. Because it's one of the other benefits of Shockwave is that it encourages cellular growth. And like this was something that most people don't even begin to think of in sending to a rehab facility. But this was a pretty severe wound. This dog actually was kicked by a deer.
Oh, a deer?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, because she thought she would chase it out of her yard, and the deer had a baby, a little fawn, like stashed in a brush. So
they get protective.
Yeah. So the deer came up and whacked the dog and caused a wound, probably about, I would say almost 3 inches in diameter. And the owner was going to their regular vet who, was kind of doing typical, telling them to clean it and put,
Neosporin.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And giving, again, it was not incorrect information. Yeah. But telling them to do all of this. And after about 3 weeks, the owner was so frustrated because it just kept opening up again, even though she was being religious about keeping the dog away from it. Anyway, she just was very frustrated, going to multiple vet appointments. And it was just in an area, it was right on the dog's side. So it wasn't a place that really could be bandaged. Anyway, like a friend of hers told her about laser treatments. And so she asked the vet if they knew somebody. They sent her here. And when I talked to the owner on the phone, I asked her, I said, do you mind sending me a picture of the wound? And I'll actually tell you what I think we should be doing. So she sent me a picture and I said, laser is going to take us months to heal that. And I said, but I have Shockwave and that's going to heal that up very quickly.
Wow.
She came, so she was like, I mean, whatever you say. Like she was like fed up with everything.
Yeah.
And she just wanted this healed up. So she started coming here. So we did twice a week Shockwave for 3 weeks. I just saw the dog yet. So this was at the beginning of July, by the way. So in a matter of 4 weeks, that wound completely closed up and healed up and it looks beautiful. And the dog is on its way now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I've never heard of Shockwave.
Yeah, same.
So if it's not cold lasers there, what exactly is it?
Shockwave?
Yeah.
So it's a pulsed radio wave.
Huh.
Yeah. And
So
there's a couple different kinds of shockwave. That's why I say the one I have is a Pizio shockwave, which is the brand name of the company, but it's also what type of shockwave that my machine is a Pizio shockwave. Yes. Some people call it extracorporeal shockwave.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Can you use it on humans?
Sure can.
Whoa.
Does it help with wrinkles?
That may or may not have already happened times.
Wow. I am intrigued.
Can you use it on and I guess this goes to a larger question as well. Can you use that shockwave on a 5-pound dog?
You can, yep, because I have the pads that make it very small and narrow down the penetration area.
Wow.
Yep.
What about a case of mange or something like that?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up because depending on what type of mange, because sometimes you want to stimulate the cells, but other times you don't.
Sure.
So that's one of those I would probably have to look it up and see.
Interesting.
But I've used it on a few wounds. I had another dog who, these people, they came all the way from West Virginia, for the underwater treadmill. It was an older dog who unfortunately was attacked at a kennel and had several very large open wounds that were just taking forever to heal. And so we did shockwave on those and again, healed up in a couple weeks.
Can you do it every day or do you have to space that treatment out?
You really should space it out. The most recent dog, the one who was kicked by the deer, we did twice a week treatments. And we did twice a week for 3 weeks. And then we did once a week for just 2 weeks. And then I switched to laser. I only did 2 laser treatments on that dog because it was healed.
Wow.
Wait till their vet finds out.
Yeah.
You're going to get referrals like crazy.
I hope so. I mean, I like wound management. I think it's kind of cool.
So are those cases, can you squeeze them in, in your busy schedule because it's just a less time consuming thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I make an exception for stuff like that. That woman, I felt bad for my poor receptionist. She was just doing what is normal. She was like, yeah, we don't have an opening until the end of August.
Oh.
And this woman was like, no. And so I happened to overhear it and I was like, can you just tell me a little bit more? So I was like, oh no, I said, that can't wait. That dog has to come in tomorrow. And so we shift things just a little bit and that dog, and she brought him in the very next day and we started treatment right away.
Wow.
Okay. So underwater treadmill, shockwave.
Wait, can I ask one more question about the shockwave? Nerve damage. Can it help with nerve damage?
It can. That also, it depends on the location and the reason. That one, it's because it can also go the other way, that it can actually make nerve damage worse.
Interesting.
So it is, that one is a little, it's on the fence. I actually just had a dog here that's a Frisbee dog. She competes all over the country in Frisbee competitions. And this dog has a sciatic injury. And I was on the fence. Do I do shockwave or just laser? And we're sticking with just laser for a couple weeks. So we're going to see how that goes. And then we might add shockwave. But I'm working with one of the sports medicine vets from Ohio State on that particular dog. So we'll see, but we're that one. We just thought it was better to try and stick with laser first and see how that makes that dog feel. If that starts to get better, great. But if we're not really getting anywhere, and we still feel like there's some nerve entrapment, then we might switch over to shockwave.
Okay, so then that introduces shockwave.
Yes.
What else do you have equipment-wise?
Well, I have a class 4 cold laser.
Okay.
Yep. Which a lot of clinics have those now, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty handy, and the lasers can be used for so many different things. There's a lot of different benefits for laser or photobiomodulation, if you really want to be specific to what that treatment or modality is. But I have laser, and I do have I have an e-stim and ultrasound combo machine. So therapeutic ultrasound and electrostimulation.
Love it.
I'll be super honest though. As soon as I got shockwave, I almost never use that machine anymore.
Really?
Wow.
No, I don't. Thank goodness it was cheap.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just don't. It's the shockwave does so much more.
Yeah.
And does seem to do just a much better job in penetrating and the benefits of, because the other thing you can use shockwave for is to break up tendinopathies, which is usually what I use the e-stim for. Was to break up some tendinopathies or stimulate some muscle function. But the shockwave does most of that.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because I just assumed that when we were going to have this conversation that rehabilitation really mostly meant different exercises, like different strengthening exercises and using different balancing, tools or activities, or more like physical therapy, I guess. But it is so interesting now that I'm learning that it's so this advanced technology equipment dependent and how healing that is for the body.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I still do a lot of the exercises. I still have all of that. I've got kind of a ridiculous collection of fitness equipment that I do like to use. And I always give people home exercises. Like there's always that follow-up, but very specifically to what I do in the clinic, the equipment and the modalities are extremely beneficial.
Wow.
And really, and they just can't be replaced at home.
Yeah. They sound really expensive too.
Some of it is, yeah. Yeah, some of it is. But it's worth it.
Wow.
So do you have like packages for people once you evaluate the dog and kind of assess what their needs are? Do you give them like a future plan of this is what you recommend, this is, kind of the cost factor involved, and coach them through all that and they can say yay or nay, right?
Yeah. And, I do my best to work with people, so that, because sometimes it is very challenging logistically and financially to come in frequently. So, I always want to be able to work with people and, have it so that they can be successful. And sometimes, it is where they're going to do better and they're going to be dedicated and do exercises at home on a regular basis. But, like I had another client who was here yesterday and I said, how are the exercises going? And thankfully he admitted, he was like, nah, I haven't been done any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. So you're going to come twice a week.
Yeah.
Because you're not following through,
right,
which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's what happens, because in order for your dog to get better, we got to do these things. And then I have other clients who are extremely dedicated and, they might only come every 2 or 3 weeks because they're doing everything at home and, on a very consistent basis.
Yeah.
So, but I do offer packages for people, when we know, like a post-surgery case is a pretty easy one that, I can look at and talk to the clients and say, yeah, you know what, like we're probably going to need like 4, 6, 8 sessions in order to get them back to where we want them to be. So I just offer packages So there's a little bit of a discount for doing that.
And I know you're not an insurance company, but from what you hear from your clients, does insurance cover some of what you're doing?
Some of the insurance companies do, yes. And it's actually pretty nice. And some, kind of like with anything, are a little bit better than others.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to talk to their pet insurance companies. Some of them may have to increase, their plan. But it is kind of nice that a lot of the insurance companies are seeing the benefits of alternative medicine.
Great.
And that they will support this, because it does mean in the long run less medications, which are less trips to the vet, which are, less of all these other things, if they're willing to support, a short period of rehabilitation and physical therapy.
Wow. So what's the main surgery the main post-op surgery that you see? Is it ACL tears?
It's that's high on the list. But I would say it's probably pretty equal to the knee surgeries and back surgeries.
Back surgery. Wow. I know you said knee surgery earlier on, but back surgery. Wow. There's a lot of that then. I would never have guessed that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would venture to say, a couple of the specialty hospitals, they probably do, depending on the day, maybe 2 or 3 a day.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And we're talking beyond just dachshunds.
Yeah.
Like for back surgery. Huh.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
Frenchies are probably actually the number one offender.
I was going to ask. I know
The
a couple people who have, because they get the disc, the slip disc very often.
Really?
It's really common in the breed. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, they don't have a neck. They don't have a head. They're not proportional.
And now we have 18 million in America.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All from a really good breeder, though.
Yeah, in Lancaster.
Sorry, we're a little... You get it.
It's okay. So I feel ya. I do. 100%.
Oh boy.
I'm grateful for the business, but I feel bad for the dogs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, between the palate surgery and the back surgery and not regulating their body temperature
and the humidity and heat and they can't even breathe, the poor things.
Oh, I know. And like in the skin problems and the knee problems.
Oh, and the digestive problems and the eye problems. Yeah.
Yep.
They're expensive.
I have one who every time he comes in, he gets so stinking excited for being here. He pukes all over my floor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So, okay. I think we answered a lot of these questions. We kind of talked about how long clients need to be around for, how you got to where you are today, your background, your history.
So do you train your employees? Yeah. So, or are some people coming to you already with a little bit of a education or expertise?
Well, that's been a little challenging.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. When I first opened, I had this great vision of, I'm going to attract all of these, well-qualified, experienced people, and that doesn't really happen. Yeah, so I do have, and I do have very small staff. There's only 3 of us actually that work here. I like to have somebody who has veterinary experience. Mm-hmm. Mostly because, like some of what we do, it just makes life a little bit easier to have somebody that at least has some of that experience. Sure. I guess I'm a little shocked, quite honestly, that more veterinary professionals, like they're just not interested in this, and I don't know why. I literally have no idea why. I love this, and I think it's amazing. And we it's not really sad here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a few things that are kind of sad.
But people are coming to you because they care so much about their dogs, and they are taking that as extra step, and they want their dog to feel better. So your clientele is already slightly elevated than most practices.
And
Exactly.
they put a positive spin on it, no different than children with special needs.
Right.
Yes, we have kids with special needs, but we don't have to overly analyze and depress and just get into a hole about it. Let's just flip it around and make the best of what we have, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. Like this last week, like I had a couple new patients that came in that are tripods.
Yeah.
And like one is a younger dog, and they just want to be sure that the dog stays healthy, and they wanted to learn about fitness, for their tripod.
Wow, that's incredible.
Another one, she was a little concerned because she thought the dog might have hurt the one other leg, back leg, that was still there. So anyway, but and as they talked about it, and one of the things I always come up with is the dogs don't care.
No,
like we're the ones with the hang up.
Yep.
And the same thing, like when my patients that are in wheelchairs.
Yep.
It's like we're the ones with the hang up.
Yep.
It's not the dogs. We just have to teach the dogs, to be in the wheelchair and how to use the wheelchair. But we're the ones with that, hang up that this looks weird or, is too much, or I don't even know, because to me, it's just not that big of a deal.
Right.
But, the humans are the ones with the problems, as far as, is this okay or not okay? Because generally the dogs don't care.
I mean, I think that tracks.
It's always the humans.
Yeah.
It's always us.
That's the bigger
always
picture.
Us.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the bigger picture.
And I think even with human children, like I think it's always us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you have a kid in a wheelchair, you have to, it sucks. But you got to look at the positive, and you have to think about your kid.
Yep.
So
I have a dog who oh my gosh, this thing is so ridiculously adorable. She's an English bulldog with a spina bifida.
Oh.
And this woman adopted this dog knowing full well this was how the dog was. And they gave her a wheelchair. It's a little comical because the dog was attacking the wheelchair. And so, but anyway, she brought everything in, and I looked at it, I said, well, we needed to make some adjustments, and like, you need this piece and this piece. And so anyway, so she got all the right pieces, and then we put the dog in, and she didn't attack the wheelchair. And she was like, that's crazy. She always attacks it. And I was like, well, it probably didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then after we made like one or two more adjustments, this dog was ripping around this room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the owner, like, she started to cry because she was like, I've literally never seen this dog upright.
Aw.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, she adopted the dog, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago. And she's never seen the dog like up on all fours.
Wow.
You must feel so rewarded in so many ways.
Those are the things, like, I mean, I just do. I love that part about my job.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes. But back to my staff. So I have one who she went to vet tech school. She didn't get her license. She's working on it though, because I'm encouraging her strongly. She should. Yes. She's amazing. She's so smart, and she loves the dogs. She loves the clients. And then I do have a receptionist who is learning. She's getting her feet wet with all of this, and she does really seem to like this side of things. She has a lot of animal experience, but not veterinary experience. And so it sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge, but I do think that we have a nice combination. Like all of the years of veterinary experience that I have, and then somebody else who does have some veterinary experience and continuing to learn more, and somebody else who has a great passion for helping people and helping animals. But it is tough. There aren't very many of us certified rehab practitioners around, so it's a little challenging to find some. And I've had a couple human PTs that were certified in canine rehab as well, and I would say it goes okay. But the lack of veterinary experience, it's a big hurdle. And not that they can't do it. I know a lot of really, really good human PTs that have become certified and have great success in the industry. But they just seem to have a knack for the veterinary side of things, which makes them do well. But those are very hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's no slight on anybody. It's just,
right.
This is very heavy in veterinary medicine. And I think people forget that. Because I think so many people think we play with cute puppies and kittens all day. So.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's a very niche skilled area.
Right.
Yeah. That takes a lot of, I can't even imagine. I mean, just managing a dog to get into an underwater treadmill is, a feat in and of itself. So, and I've seen them walk in, and they walk in with no water in, and then you gradually raise the water slowly, right? Like there's a process.
Yep. Yeah. So, we use a lot of Cheerios here.
A lot of Cheerios.
Yeah.
Or the sticky thing that sticks to the end with the peanut butter on it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We do a lot of licky mats. Yep. A lot of licky mats, a lot of Cheerios.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Meredith, did we miss anything that you wanted to touch on, at least in this episode? Because I do think you're going to have to come back on.
Yeah.
I think probably the only thing, but I hope we can come back to it as another episode, is the sports medicine aspect of what I do.
That came up recently in another podcast interview, is sports, dog sports, everything. I mean, that's just a whole other world that I'm not tapped into. I don't think you are either.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is very big. Canine sports and canine activities are rapidly growing. And I think we owe it to our canine athletes to do a good job in preparing their bodies to be able to go out and do the fun things that we love doing with them. And I compete in several different events with my own personal dogs. But I treat a lot of dogs, a lot of canine athletes. And I'm pretty honored to be able to do that, because I like helping them, and I like helping their handlers really be a part of that dog's fitness routine to prepare their bodies to go out and do all the fun things.
Well, and to your point earlier, you can't just expect your dog to enter a competition once a month and not prep them for that. Just like training for a marathon, a human they run 6 days a week, and there's a whole process to maintaining your body and preparing for that event. So it's important. It's very important. And the twisting and the turning, like if it's agility, and having them on the right supplements, and having them on good food, and not just like Beneful that's full of sugar and food coloring. kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a whole thing.
It sure is. Yep. And I mean, there's so much that goes into, preparing and maintaining a canine athlete. There certainly are things that are a little overboard sometimes, but I find very few of those, as far as I'm concerned, that are truly, truly overboard. There's, some people want to go to kind of a certain level of things and others want to go more, which is okay as well. But I do think, again, when we're asking these dogs to kind of come along with us and do these things, we owe it to them.
Definitely.
To offer something that prepares them to be able to do a good job and not get hurt.
Yep.
All
right. Yeah. Great episode. So
that was great. That went incredible. Yeah. I learned so much. Wow.
Yeah, they're great. I was excited to see them on the list. Yeah. So Meredith, how do people find you? Website, phone number, social media, whatever you want to tell us.
Our Facebook page is actually pretty active. Our Facebook page and our Instagram. We're doing a little bit better lately of getting back to it, of building it up, but it's just Steele City Canine Rehab. Our website, I'll be honest, is not very good.
That's okay.
It's not. There is a referral form on the website, for veterinarians to fill out and send in. So if people want, to have our service and they want their veterinarians involved, that's one way. As of right now, I don't require a veterinarian referral. That's one of the things that might change soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
so is the best way to schedule with you calling?
Yeah, they can call or email. Okay. Email is amazing to us. Yes. Which is just Steele City, the letter K, the number 9, rehab@gmail.com.
Okay.
Love it. Simple, easy.
Yep. Super simple, super easy. But you can contact us through Facebook or Instagram. But we're always happy to see new people, new faces, and help new little canine nuggets. I do other animals too, but mostly it's dogs.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Have you done cats?
I try pretty hard not to because cats don't like being helped.
No.
Yeah,
I love that. Cats don't like being helped.
Yeah,
that needs to be a sticker.
Yeah.
I do try, but cats generally don't like being helped. No, they have a great tendency to like poop on my water and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No. Well, great.
We can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, we definitely can't wait.
I love it.
Yeah,
this is great.
That's great. I'm glad I'm so glad we got to talk, and all your info will be on our show notes. We'll definitely, when we post, we'll tag you on everything and all that kind of stuff. So,
awesome. Perfect.
Awesome. So until next time, thanks everyone.
Yep.
Talk soon. Bye.
Bye. We want to give a big shout out to our sound engineer, Brad, from Beacon Sound Systems, LLC. This is the highest quality sound editing, and he knows exactly what to edit. So it's his fault the F-bombs are still in there. You can reach Brad for all your sound editing needs through
Instagram and Facebook. You'll follow at Beacon Sound Systems. Website, www.4beaconsound.com. Phone number, 724-471-2410.
Beacon Sound is a locally owned company in our neck of the woods here in Pittsburgh, PA. So if you're in need of large LED screens, stages, lighting, or sound systems for any occasion, big or small, this is the company for you.
Sounds like a party in one.
And boy, do we need one.